Hi, Frank Turlip here, and in this video I want to introduce you to what I believe is the best way for a calibration provider or a mobile services company to offer, deliver, manage, document, and invoice for their services. So over the next 15 minutes or so, I'm going to provide you with a detailed overview of how the Calibration CoPilot platform can help your business, whether you're a mobile service provider, a calibration provider, or if you're subletting your business to one of those two providers. So the Calibration CoPilot platform starts out as a single platform that connects the customer with the service provider. So if you're a mobile service provider and you're servicing body shops, you are connected to those body shops all the time. If you're a calibration provider, you are connected to those businesses you're performing calibrations for all of the time. And what that means is you're no longer fighting different systems. It's one system allowing both businesses to coordinate business services and communications to get the work done seamlessly and paperlessly. Very, very cool. It's designed for single locations if you're doing calibrations within a bay in your business, an MSO enterprise if you're doing calibration centers for subsets of your locations in specific cities, if you're a franchisor or a franchisee, or if you're a mobile service provider, completely designed for any one of those. We've designed in custom branding. We've designed in completely paperless transactions and communications, the ability to schedule complete workflow customization and management, process documentation, automated communications, built-in customizable quality control checklist, job costing, reporting, and much more. Now, by implementing the Calibration CoPilot platform, we believe that it's going to help your business implement standard calibration and mobile service processes. It will increase sales, reduce costs, not only for yourself, but also for your customers. Remember, we're eliminating paper processes, we're eliminating paperwork, which is going to reduce the cost for everybody. It's going to improve documentation and communication. It's going to help reduce liability. It'll increase transparency as well as improve customer satisfaction and customer retention. Now, as I said, the platform is designed for virtually any size business. Again, whether you're a single location, an MSO calibration center, a franchise or franchisee, or an independent calibration center that's performing calibrations for local businesses in your marketplace, or if you're a mobile service or calibration provider, the Calibration CoPilot platform will work for you. We've designed the platform with a unique architecture, as I said earlier. One platform for you to do business with all of your customers. So again, the customer doesn't have to go to your website to schedule anything. The customer doesn't have to wait for you to send them an email for them to get your invoice or to be updated on the status of the calibration or the mobile service. You're operating in one platform. So again, what that means is immediate, seamless, paperless communications and documentation between you and your customer or between the customer and yourself. Very, very powerful, very unique, and very efficient in terms of documentation, paperwork, and communication. Now, one of the things that we feel pretty strongly about is if I'm a mobile service provider or if I'm a calibration provider, I would like to know what repairs or what was replaced on that vehicle prior to me performing any mobile service and or any calibrations. So one of the integrations that we're launching with initially is our integration with CCC. And what's going to happen there is the service requester, the shop or the service requester that's utilizing CCC, the right estimates in their business, will be able to share with the service provider, mobile service provider or calibration provider, the repair order lines of the repair order they need calibrated. Now, I believe that's going to be a big benefit to the mobile service provider or the calibration provider, where you can go in at any time to view the repair order lines of that vehicle of which you're going to calibrate or perform mobile services on. Now, let's start out with how does a shop or a service requester request services from a mobile service provider or a calibration provider? Well, it's very simple. We believe that in most cases, the requester, being the shop or the business requesting the service, is probably going to request the service or the calibration via their PC, particularly, or a Windows 10 tablet, particularly if it's a body shop writing an estimate. Now, we're also going to give that business, the requesting business, the ability to request the service via mobile app. But in any case, if they're utilizing the CCC interface or another third-party interface, the data for that work order will be put into their Calibration CoPilot portal. They'll simply select the file that they want to schedule the calibration or the mobile service, and once they do that, they'll go through a validation and a workflow process. So step one, they'll validate the data that came over from CCC or from a third party. They'll also at that point select a customized service that they want to schedule with the mobile service provider or the calibration provider. Now, those types of services are 100% customizable by the service provider, the mobile company or the calibration service company. So they'll validate the data. The next thing they can do if they choose to, they can review the repair order lines from their CCC or other third-party applications to make sure that all the repair order lines are accurate. Third, and this is pretty cool, third, as the user, I'm then going to select the services I feel I need my mobile company or my calibration provider to perform on this vehicle. Now again, the mobile company or the calibration provider has created these services in their system. So these are the services they offer to their customers. So again, by having one single platform, the provider can share their service and their pricing with the service requester. Now, we do this, we want this to happen early in the process at the requester level, because we want that service requester, particularly if it's a body shop doing a blueprint, we want them to be able to see the pricing and the services they need so they can add it to their repair plan early in the process to reduce the number of supplements as well as the dollar amounts of their supplements. So once they've reviewed and selected their services, they select next. The next step is there's going to be, if chosen by the mobile company or the calibration company, some pre-service requirements set by those two providers. So the mobile or the calibration company can choose to generate a checklist for the requester so that requester knows what needs to be done or provided prior to the service being performed by the mobile company or by the calibration company. Once those are selected, they select next. Now at this point, the requester, the body shop or the service requester, can now choose to schedule either via a person, a location, a piece of equipment, or a bay. And again, the provider, the mobile service provider or the calibration service provider, controls and configures their schedule each and every day. So what's being presented to the person requesting the service is that mobile and or calibration provider's schedule. Once they've selected the time and date, they select next. Then the requester is going to communicate to the provider if the vehicle needs to be moved or if the service is going to be done within their shop. Again, this is completely customizable by the provider, be it the mobile company or the calibration company. And that's it. So that's the process that the body shop, the service requester, would go through from their workstation to request a service from the mobile company or the calibration provider. Now, again, as I mentioned earlier, if the service requester, the shop, the estimator, production manager, or whatever, would choose to do this process through a mobile app, they have the ability to do that as well, as you see on the screen here. So again, that was the process for the company and or the person requesting the service. Now let's review what happens on the other side of the company that is providing the service, whether it's a mobile service provider or a calibration service provider. So we believe that in most cases, the mobile or the calibration service provider is going to be using a mobile app or a mobile device to perform the services. So in this presentation, we're going to present to you the workflow of what occurs on our mobile app. And so on the mobile app, you'll notice there's three menus on the left. You've got incoming, you've got in process, and you've got completed. So what happens is once that service requester completes that process we just covered, the service provider is going to receive a push notification indicating that there's another service request from that particular business. And he's also going to get a visual alert on the app that's informing them that there's another incoming service request for that calibration or mobile service provider. The mobile service provider person or technician simply press on incoming, and then they would select the particular work order that they are going to begin work on, whether it's a mobile service or a calibration service. Once they select that, they're going to review the data that's been sent to them from the requester. Remember, again, same platform, so it's the same information that's been entered in by the requester. They're going to review all the information, review the pre-check checklist that was created, and then they're going to have the ability at that point, they can click on review lines, repair order lines, and they can now review the repair order lines of the vehicle that they're going to repair, what was replaced and what was repaired. And then once they've done that, they can choose to assign the work to a technician if it's going to be someone other than themselves performing the work. And once they've done that, they're going to then be taken to what I'm going to call the calibration or mobile service validation checklist process. Now, based on the SICA calibration workflow and experience in other workflows, we've designed a 100% customizable checklist workflow process for mobile service providers as well as calibration service providers. And there's 4 steps to the validation and documentation process. Step 1, which we call the pre-check or pre-calibration checklist, which is again 100% customized by the service provider, that's going to require whoever's doing the service, whether it be mobile or calibration, to go through a series of checks indicating they've done certain steps prior to the service, as well as adding images and or files to those checks prior to performing the service. Once they've done those checks and added the images or the files required by the service provider, they'll be taken to the next step. And that next step is the list of services that the requester selected in their process. And so now as a technician, I'm looking at the services that the customer selected that we need to provide to them. They can just review it, or if there's other services needed, the technician can choose to add those services here. Once they're done reviewing that step, the next step would be to perform the actual actions. And what that means is, again, 100% customized by the service provider, is what actions need to be completed for the service. Were the targets put in place? And are there images associated with the targets? Is the scan report attached? Is the calibration report attached? Is the post-calibration scan report attached? Is the test drive report attached? And once all of those are done, it'll be completed by the technician, and they're taken to the last validation step, which basically puts the accountability on the person performing the service, validating that that individual performed the service accurately and they approve it. Once they've done that, the process is over. So that's the process that the provider technician would be following in terms of documentation and workflow. Now again, remember, I've said this multiple times, because we're operating on the same platform, one platform, multiple companies, all of the data, all of the files, all of the images are available to both the shop or service requester as well as the provider. There's none of this, well, I didn't get the images. It's all stored in the same platform. Very, very important. So if you're a MSO calibration location and you're servicing 10 or 15 MSO locations, you're going to have all access to all of their information, or each of their locations is going to have access for their locations. But because of the architecture, the entire corporation will have access centrally to all images, all files, all checklists, all everything. Real powerful. And at any time, if I want to go in and get the information associated with that file, I simply click on a file, and I can go in and I can look at the checklist, I can view the images, I can view the files, I can also see the time and date stamp when each of those activities were performed. I can also look at a review of the service and the pricing. And if I want to, I can click on the report, I can click on the invoice to review them, or I can email the report, or I can email the invoice. Here's an example of the report. And you'll notice the report is broken down by each checklist step. We've got detailed documentation in terms of the vehicle, the year, make, and model. We've got the RO number, we've got the invoice number, we've got the technician information on there, as well as any warranty information you want at the end. And again, it's important to understand everything is time and date stamped, along with, by the way, the images are also location date stamped as well. And then last you have the invoice. And in the invoice again, the provider, the service provider, mobile and or calibration provider, has complete control over the service descriptions, the service listings, and the service pricing. So again, all available in Calibration CoPilot. Again, as I said in the beginning, I truly believe the Calibration CoPilot platform is the best way for a mobile service or a calibration service provider to offer, deliver, manage, document, and invoice for their services. There's not another platform out there that's going to provide the customer with more and better documentation on what was performed on the vehicle that they sublet, and there's not a better platform for the provider in terms of documentation and workflow, etc. So if you're interested in learning more, visit www.calcopilot.com. Give us a call at 855-953-7483, or send me an email at fturlip@autotexcelerators.com. If you are a mobile provider or a calibration provider, you need to take a deeper look at this. It's really powerful, and it's a truly unique way that we believe is going to change the way mobile services and calibration services are delivered. Thanks for your time, and as always, make your day an awesome one.